As the voices grow louder and the lights go down, the world's focus shifts back on Chrisean Rock, one of the most controversial figures in hip-hop. But it's not about a brawl on Instagram Live, a turbulent separation with Blueface, or a backstage collapse that went public this time. No. This storm is special because court documents that had been hidden away have surfaced. Moreover, Rock's name isn't merely mentioned in passing. They pierce the most fragile part of her universe, her infant. The rumors are spreading like wildfire. Did CPS become involved? Did information about her role as a mother really come out of the shocking documents? Or is this another example of crucifixion in public, fueled by gossip websites and raw, toxic headlines? Tonight, we'll be taking off the layers, organizing through the uncertainty, reveal the real meaning of those shocking documents for Chrisean Rock, her child, and the empire she is desperately trying to save. A kind of silence that is more oppressive than sound greets the reader as the story begins. Chaos was nothing new to Chrisean Rock, the fiery, daring competitor on Blueface's infamous Blue Girls Club. They loved her on camera. It was the fights, the tears, the confessions, and the unrepentant wildness that made the content viral. In between the flashy lights and trending hashtags, Chrisean, however, went beyond reality TV headlines. Her child was born. When Chrisean, Jesus Malone Jr., her Blueface son, arrived, it was supposed to change the tale. This baby wasn't just a child, she informed them. He was a blessing, an opportunity to make amends, a reset button for a life that has spiraled into arrests, scandals, and turbulent romance. Fans saw her for the first time not breaking something combustible, but holding something fragile. Her relationship with that Blueface was a catastrophic roller coaster, and motherhood was meant to ground her, soften her, and possibly even free her from it. Then the leaks began. It was small at first, blurred screenshots circulating on Twitter, and speculations on Reddit threads indicate that CPS visited Chrisean. At first, it looked like the old-fashioned hyperbole on the internet. After all, rumors had been circulating about her and Blueface, but they intensified when a secret court document began to circulate. The official stamped paperwork revealed that Chrisean's living situations, her fitness as a guardian, and even the custody arrangements for her child had all been considered. The tabloids had stopped spreading these rumors. The strength of this story was sufficient to destroy people's reputations. The crowd reacted. Some rushed to her defense. In the system, Black mothers are continuously undercut. Not everyone was so sympathetic. She can't even regulate her relationship with Blueface. What will she do with a baby? Chrisean praying and CPS leaks were trending hashtags. Everyone now had a thorough understanding of family law. Everyone in the whole session of the Court of Public Judgment had an opinion. But here's where things become complicated. A clear description of abuse or neglect was not given by the records. Instead, they portrayed a chaotic situation. One where police investigations were tainted by Chrisean and Blueface's arguments. One that raised questions about stability due to repeated transfers and public disagreements. In one, the baby was placed between two parents who were dramatists. Is her child loved by Chrisean? Wasn't the state's concern? That was unquestionable. In the midst of endless upheaval, is love enough? The cinematic impact of this scene is felt there. With tattoos still visible on her body, imagine a young mother trying to juggle her desires for music, poisonous relationships, viral fame, and the unforeseen obligations of motherhood. Meanwhile, every mistake, every outburst, and every scream is watched by the globe. Even yet, Chrisean Rock's voice grew louder due to the pressure she was under. Imagine someone putting a stack of court paperwork over a table that said, "We're not sure your baby is safe here. I'm not perfect, but don't you dare say I don't. Take care of my baby," she sobbed on Instagram Live. The rawness of that moment was evident. Don't you dare. Fans shared, cut, and studied it. Was it for real? Was that another show? Was she just an upset mom attempting to prove the world wrong? Blueface, on the other hand, did not keep silent. Throughout edX, he made sure to remark that he had always been the reliable dad and that Chrisean wasn't ready for responsibility. It stoked the fires, and the bloggers ate it up. He interpreted it as a chess move where he was the calm of the storm. She considered it betrayal. The man who was once devoted has changed. the public opinion court's prosecutor, the disclosures, the court documents, and the live broadcasts. Together, they formed a perfect storm. Chrisean Rock's path as a mother suddenly became more than just her own struggle. Now it was becoming funny. It was not just the baby's safety that was at risk. They were craving popcorn while they waited for the next argument. However, here's the real twist. The flashing headlines and trending hashtags were still masking a human story. Mom is hugging her son tightly, a woman trying to deal with a system that decides whether drama is synonymous with danger and stardom, that demands more than it offers. And this was only the beginning if the first release caused a stir on the internet. It would be destroyed by what came next. Twitter threads and whispered gossip sites weren't the source of the second shockwave. It came from the court itself. The shocking court records that came to light were clear-cut and could not be dismissed as fake news. They had been signed, stamped, and verified. On the inside, the rhetoric was terrible, but clinical and callous. Officials questioned if Chrisean Rock's chaotic lifestyle could sustain a newborn, according to the report. The casual fans looking over Instagram thought it was simply another headline. It was, however, the beginning of something far darker for anyone who has studied the development of these cases. Her baby's life is being flagged by the state. The documents detailed Chrisean's own behavior as well as Blueface's continued involvement. They had a tumultuous past, filled with yelling fights, injuries, arrests, and the on-again, off-again cycle of toxic love that had become a public spectacle, as documented by police records, blogs, and live streams. The same circumstances did not produce fun for the police. They observed volatility. Therefore, the paperwork made references to monitored visits, possible custody reevaluations, and, most damning of all, a review of whether the child should truly remain in Chrisean's custody. Imagine for a moment the scene in the movie where a young mother is pacing her apartment and using a phone ringing with notifications to browse through released information. Brilliant screen. Outside, photographers shout questions. On the internet, trolls shared snake emojis. Inside, her naive and ignorant son sleeps soundly. To Chrisean, this was more than just idle talk. It was a real-time battle for her child's future in front of millions. But the internet doesn't care about details. Following the announcement of the news, fans split into two camps. One side criticized Blueface, saying he orchestrated the leaks to portray Chrisean as unworthy. Guys behave this way when they can't control you. One fan tweeted with the hashtag #DawnProtectBlackMothers. Another individual commented, "Blueface has been trying to take that baby away from her." On the other end of the spectrum were doubters. Don't fall for his tricks. She is often fighting, crying, and rushing about in real life. Would a newborn be able to live there steadily? The conversation was no longer limited to Chrisean Rock. They talked about motherhood, double standards, and how society looks down on women, particularly those in the spotlight. Fans wanted answers, so they tagged celebrities. Even vlogs like At the Shade Room and at Hollywood Unlocked, which had multiple entries with millions of views apiece, contributed to the flames. Chrisean was also not a quiet person. She resurrected, burning and almost trembling with rage this time. Is it implied in certain paperwork that I don't love my child? It's me who has held him, fed him, and kept him up all night. Where is his father when the diapers need to be changed? Blueface is nowhere to be found while my son is crying. Here I have been. Do not toy with me. Please refrain from playing with my youngster. The comments were glowing. Every word she said was mocked by critics, while her fans showered her with, "We love you, Chrisean Jr." For them, it was simply another viral breakdown. For her, it was war. Blueface then went all out. Among his enigmatic tweets was this one: "I simply think about what's best for my son. It wasn't just a fight between two parents anymore, and fans saw it as dishonest, a subtle swipe at him, making him the responsible parent. It was betrayal turned public humiliation for Chrisean, and she tagged Blueface directly in retaliation. Stop acting like you've been there." Tension in the movie escalated as word spread that CPS investigators had been in contact with Chrisean's family. Stop acting like you care now that the court is watching. It was a show. Social media is being used by both sides as a weapon and a shield. The baby, who never asked for drama, celebrity, or hashtags, was caught in the middle once more. more. Some said that her siblings were questioned, while others said that neighbors were asked about loud noises and late-night arguments. Whether true or exaggerated, the rumors fueled the fires, and it was no longer just Chrisean versus Blueface. Chrisean was facing the system, but her loyalty was the one thing that was unquestionable. Chrisean posted videos of herself rocking her baby to sleep, kissing his forehead, and whispering prayers behind the glamorous lives and trending headlines. These quiet moments didn't trend as much, but they sent a clear message. A mother's desperate attempt to demonstrate her superiority over the chaos around her. Fans murmured, "But is she losing her baby?" But the court documents remained a shadow, with storm clouds hovering over leaked language like unstable environment and parental fitness hearing. Every time she smiled in public, they said, "Why? Isn't he battling for custody rather than influence?" The clock was ticking whenever Blueface posted in the studio, because if the files were real and the court moved forward, the next news might not be about a leak. A decision might be at stake, and if that decision is made, everything could change. What began as a whisper storm had now intensified into a hurricane. Once the story was picked up by major media outlets like TMZ, BET, and Complex, there was no turning back. Despite the fact that the name Chrisean Rock was well known and was prominently displayed on all screens, timelines, and headlines, something much more important was happening behind the comments, hashtags, and memes. The truth of a court case that could define her motherhood. The damage had already been done by the leaked court documents, but the public was unable to see the courtroom itself, a sterile setting where judges asked pointed questions, caseworkers scribbled notes, and attorneys argued inside. Cameras flashed as fans and critics waited for updates, and Chrisean felt as if she was on trial for her whole personality, not just her parenting. All of the footage, including her yelling at Blueface, her stumbling out of a party, and her tirade about betrayal, was bundled into a story about instability. The tragedy of celebrity lies in the fact that her former charm, amusement, and viral success now worked against her. In the meantime, Blueface's shadow hung over the case. He wasn't flawless, but his plan was clear. He should project an air of composure and superiority. He delved into his persona as the responsible dad, spoke cautiously, and posted fewer times. However, fans didn't buy it. One user wrote, "You started this chaos." Under his latest post, he wrote, "Now you want to play victim." Others backed him by tweeting, "At least he's trying to step up." Their battle was not just legal, but also psychological warfare, and it was being waged in front of millions of people. Chrisean accused him of using the system as a weapon. Against her, he said, she was too sentimental to raise their son. During all of this, the story took a dramatic turn when a new leak emerged, this time from Chrisean rather than CPS specifically. In private documents that were later made public online, she wrote a heartfelt letter expressing her dedication as a mother, describing sleepless nights, hushed prayers, and her desire to raise her son with stability and faith. The letter read, "My baby is my reason to change, even though I may not be perfect. My son is everything to me. My heart can tell you that more clearly than any document ever could." The letter went viral. Celebrities retweeted it. Fans took screenshots, and hashtags like #Stand with Chrisean began trending. For the first time, the public's perception of her changed from one of a chaotic, scandal-plagued figure to one of a young mother fighting a system that fails women like her far too often. Nevertheless, the ambiguity remained despite the growing popular sympathy. Hashtags don't end court cases. They conclude with decisions, and the question that remained unchanged: would the system step in, or would she maintain custody? From a cinematic perspective, it was similar to the silent film before the Chrisean's latest song, which she released, is about motherhood rather than celebrity, Blueface, or controversy. In the gospel-infused ballad, she sang about battling demons, defending her child, and lifting generational curses. Fans described it as unadulterated, eerie, and unlike anything she had previously produced. Critics said the testimony was more important than the music, but in any case, it sent a message. She was taking back her narrative. The internet went viral again, and supporters said it was proof of her growth. She was accused by her critics of using the baby as a marketing gimmick, but whatever the case, One thing was for sure. Chrisean Rock had once again turned suffering into performance, chaos into material, and controversy into a way to survive. But the real ending had not yet been written as the credits rolled for this chapter. Would the court support her? Would Blueface be able to change custody? Would CPS step in again? Or would the next viral drama replace all of this in another headline? There is little doubt that the story of Chrisean Rock has moved beyond music and scandal. The question is whether she can change the narrative that the world has forced upon her, from troubled superstar to devoted mother. Because it's possible that the shocking court documents revealed more than just accusations, showing a woman at odds with the system, her partner, her past, and herself, and that her son is the one thing she will never give up. As a result, we find ourselves on the verge of an unstoppable narrative. The shocking court documents have been made public, and the world is watching Chrisean Rock more than ever before, and rumors are rife. The real question isn't what the headlines say, it's the next step. Will she lose the one thing she values most because of the courts? What do you think? Is Chrisean Rock being singled out unfairly? Or are the documents exposing a reality too unpleasant to ignore? Leave your comments below. Alternatively, will she rise from the ashes stronger, more resilient, and more determined than anyone could have imagined? This story is undoubtedly far from over, with the battle for her child, the battle with Blueface, and the battle with public opinion only the beginning.